Hey, Brian from Snake Bites here. This week's show is all about the tools that you'll need if you want to become a snake breeder. You're watching Snake Bites. When breeding snakes, there's all kinds of tools that really are helpful. Some of them are equipment-based and other are mental tools. But I want to go ahead and start with some of the equipment to start with. When we get bit here, a lot of times it's because of the way we feed. As you can see with this albino retic, it's a little dodgy when you're messing with them with their hands. And once they get them, you can just see how quick that thing came out on me. Certainly, if it missed that rat, wham, it just hits my hand. It's going to be painful. So I tell you what, a great tool that everyone should have is either these hemostats or big tweezers. Again, we probably don't use them nearly enough, but I tell you what, if you want to avoid a kind of painful bite, the way to do it is to certainly use hemostats, because you can get really close to the snake and you know that there's no chance of getting bit. Oh, come on, little bugger. Oh, see that? That is certainly the way that you feed snakes, with a good set of equipment. And again, there's a bunch of different choices. You can go with these huge tweezers or hemostats or anything like that. But I tell you what, if you want to keep a bunch of snakes and you don't like getting bit by them, pick up a few of these.
What was Lori's first reaction to Brian's reptiles when they first met? She was terrified of them. She kept a few reptiles herself, so she loved them. She wasn't afraid of them, but had never been around them before. Answer with a comment and keep watching to see if you're right.
Another piece of equipment that every snake keeper certainly has to have are snake hooks. And whether it's a little small snake hook, a medium snake hook, or a big beast to use for the big animals, snake hooks are really important. Now let me show you a few things of how to use snake hooks. There's really a matter of guiding animals in a direction. Sometimes it works out really well when you have a dodgy animal like this reticulated python here, and you don't want to get bit. When you go at her, she's going to come at you, and to avoid a bite, a snake hook is really important. You can see, you can kind of just guide her head away from you. If I didn't have a snake hook right now, I would be in big trouble. Now, when you have really dodgy animals like Amazon tree boas, the only way you can pick some of these things up is with a snake hook. And it's actually quite simple. Once you just hook them, they just come right up like that. And you can move them around really easy. And this is a great way to handle snakes and not get bit, because trust me, you can see if I was handling this guy, he would be all about biting me right now. He is really fired up. Now, because I love you guys so much, I'm going to show you guys what it's like to pick up an Amazon tree boa when you don't have a snake hook. Trust me, the best thing to do is just get yourself a snake hook. Again, you can just see as soon as you open up the cage, when I don't have a snake hook, I'm looking at the snake and it's already completely fired up, and there's really no way to get to it without getting bit. Oh, you can see it's just striking at me already. And then when you get it up, then again, you don't really have a whole lot of control over it because it's in your arms, and you can see it's just gonna eat me alive. And then you gotta certainly watch out for your face. So trust me, snake hooks are a really important tool. Oh, I just see this thing is just summing me up like, where can I bite you? A couple bites are probably good enough for this guy, and I gotta be careful not letting it get too close to my face because they have quite a strike range. Again, right now, I wish I had a snake book in my hand because you can see it's coming up. Oh, I'm in trouble now. I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this without getting bit. Oh man, that's quite a battle. All right, let's move on to some equipment that doesn't entail me getting bit in the face, please. And that would be a probe set. Now, this is for sexing snakes. The majority of the time, I personally avert hemipenes to see if they're male or female, but a probe set not only is a good thing as a backup just to make sure, but it's also better for people that don't have the feel for averting the hemipenes. And my favorite probes are the ones like this that have the little ball on the end. It's a little less dangerous when you're probing so that you don't penetrate something. And let me show you exactly what I mean by probing a snake. A snake's sex organs are actually in the base of the tail on this end of the anal vent, and they actually have little channels in here where the hemipenes go. Now, believe it or not, if you probe an animal like this and it goes deeper, it's a male, and if it goes really shallow, it's a female. Typically with a ball python, you're looking at 2 or 3 subcaudal scales, which are the scales south of the anal vent, and if it's a male, it's going to go 8 to 10 and even more. I tell you what, a probe set is a great thing to have to make sure you have the right sex snakes. Now, another useful tool that we use all the time are these temp guns. They're great for knowing exactly what the temperature is in your cage as well as your animal's temperature. You can set your thermostat to whatever you want. What's important is what the animal is and the hotspot is. And again, what's great about these temp guns, a lot of them come with a little laser pointer so you can literally point it right at the spot that you want. In this case, it's 87 degrees inside the cage. Now I can shoot the front, and it's 79.6. Now what's really cool, and we use a lot, is when the snakes are breeding, you find out what temperature the actual snake is. It may be on an 88-degree hotspot, but maybe it moves away and the snake is only 84 or 85 degrees. When breeding certain snakes like ball pythons, females will start moving away from the heat to thermoregulate and actually drop their body core temperature. That helps them produce follicles. So we use these a lot by shooting the actual animal, the hot spot of the cage, and the cold side of the cage. Again, it's important to know exactly what temperature your snakes are. Well, if you're going to be keeping any more than a couple snakes, it's really important to get a really good food source. You got to make sure that you can buy quantity of rodents to fill your freezers up, because you've got to make sure that you're feeding your snakes. A food source is super important because you don't want to be breeding your animals and run out of food and have your source not have any available. So make sure you look up a really good one. As a matter of fact, you can go to bhbreptiles.com, buy your rodents from there. Now, I'm not even going to talk about the obvious stuff such as racking or caging or heating or thermostats. I'm assuming if you're keeping reptiles and you're thinking about breeding them, you probably are going to have that dialed in, and there's so many options there. But one thing I do want to talk about is having realistic expectations. Take, for instance, this Lemon Blast Super Stripe that we produced last year. We bred a Spectre to a Lemon Blast Yellow Belly. Now, the odds of hitting a Lemon Blast Super Stripe is pretty far. If I would have went into that clutch thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to have 6 or 7 eggs and I'm going to produce 2 or 3 Lemon Blast Super Stripes, my expectations would be way too high, and it could potentially actually depress you or make you feel terrible when you miss those odds. So when you go into the breeding season, realize you may get lucky and hit a gem like this animal, but most likely it's going to take you a few years to get there. If you have modest and realistic expectations, you're going to be much happier with your results. The next mental tool would certainly be knowledge. It's so important to learn as much as you can about these animals to be successful at breeding. Fortunately, there's some great websites out there and incredible forums. As a matter of fact, there's a website called thereptilereport.com that puts all of the best forums into one site. You want to check those guys out. And there's certainly a litany of great books on reptiles. It's really important to read and get as much knowledge as you can to be successful at working with animals. But I still think the best knowledge you can gain is hands-on experience. Certainly, hands-on experience is where I've gotten the majority of my knowledge. Sure, I read a lot, I talk to a lot of people, I try to get as much knowledge as I possibly can. But when you're working with an animal, you learn so much about it, and you learn to kind of read that animal. When you're just staring at it, or feeding it, or breeding it, you just learn so much that you can never pick up from a book or on the internet. So sometimes it's important just to do it. Take, for instance, these leopard geckos. We kind of went deep into them this year, and this was the first year that we've ever worked with these guys, and it was a little bit scary when I got into the breeding season because I thought, man, I really don't have the experience with them. Am I going to be successful? Now we're putting a bunch of eggs down and we're doing really well with them. I've learned so much about leopard geckos just with the hands-on day-to-day work with them. They're really amazing animals. Again, it's really important to continue to try to learn those other ways. When you dove in and you really pay attention to the animals themselves, that's where you're going to get the majority of your knowledge. One of the things that people really overlook when it comes to business, and certainly when it comes to animals, is relationships. It's so important to get in tune with people that have like-minded ideas, that are willing to share their knowledge with you, and that's just going to grow. So let me tell you, you already have your equipment, you have realistic expectations, knowledge, and relationships. Now comes the hard part, which is planning. This entire wall happens to be razor snakes for the future. So I have to think about, what am I going to produce 2 years from now? How many males do I need? How many females do I need? What projects do I want to work with? Stuff like this zombie-headed corn snake, which is a diffused corn snake that just has a really cool head that they call zombie head. I've got a male. I've got to decide which females am I going to breed it to, and I've got to make all those decisions way in advance. So it's really important to have a great plan. The most successful businesses are businesses that plan for the future. I cannot stress enough how important this next segment is, and that's dedication and persistence. You guys may know a little bit about the story behind this animal here, the sunset ball python. Almost 8 years ago, I bought an animal out of Africa for $70,000, and it didn't prove out the way I thought it was going to. But 7 years later, we finally produced this little gem, and it's just an amazing project. If I would have totally given up on that project, I would never get to where I am today with it. So you've got to make sure to never give up and be persistent, even if 1, 2, 3, 4 years don't go the way you want it to. If you can stick with it, you're going to be successful. It's so important to never give up. And lastly, and most important, is passion. Always be passionate about the animals. Never work with them for the money. The business has a tendency to steal people's passion for why they started, which is the love of the animal. Always remember that it's just an awesome thing to be working with such amazing creatures. Guys, your pets are looking awesome.
Yeah, I wish I could get this to grow faster.
He's just so tiny.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe they make a snake steroid or something.
That would be awesome. No way.
Hey Sam, you got a box.
Ooh,
What is it?
nothing. Not important. Hey guys, you said you wanted your animals to grow faster, right?
Yeah.
Sprinkle a little bit of that on them when you feed them.
Rhino steroids? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Get that. Is this safe for animals?
It's made for rhinos. Rhinos are animals. It's not safe for animals. Just trust me, all right?
I'll try it. Ugh. I can't believe it.
God, Sam, my ball python's an adult. Look at
I
this.
told you, look at this. I told you it was gonna work.
Guys, my bearded dragon is a baby again. Sam.
Okay, I can't explain that. Holy
This thing's
Wow,
freaking huge.
wow.
I can barely carry it.
Okay, I told you that was a bad idea.
What do you mean? This is awesome. I'm gonna go feed the rest of them.
Oh, you crazy.
Rhino steroids. Sam, does this work on trouser snakes?
All right, guys, Iron Man 3 just came out, and I was really excited. I'm a huge fan of the Iron Man movies. I want to know, who's your favorite superhero, or what's your favorite superhero movie? Leave a comment below and let us know.
So there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed the show and this helped you a little bit if you're ever aspiring to be a snake breeder. If you ever want to follow any of my animal adventures, make sure to hit me up over on Facebook and Twitter at SnakeBytesTV. Until next week, you've been watching Snake Bites.
What was Lori's first reaction to Brian's reptiles when they first met? She was terrified of them.
So now the process. We have to take her from the fence and get her over to the water.
Are you ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, go.
Gotta try to get her as close as we can. There you go. There we go.
Get on top for Brian.
Yep. Yeah.
Watch your hands.
Yep. Oops. Sorry about that.
Get that off now.
Yep.
Jennifer, move in.
All right. I got her mouth. Don't worry.